Hi, Miss Slater's sister Amber here, and I'm going to be today's guest reader reading the book called Arthur's April Fools, written and illustrated by Marc Brown. It was the last day of March. The joke shop was full of people getting ready for April Fool's Day. Arthur and Buster tried out everything. Buster bought sneezing powder. Arthur got a fake telescope that gave whoever looked through it a black eye. But Arthur didn't feel like playing jokes. He kept thinking about Binky Barnes. "Who is Binky Barnes?" asked Buster. "Picture King Kong. Now double it," said Arthur. "He keeps threatening to punch me out." The next day, Arthur was practicing his magic tricks with Buster and Francine for the April Fool's assembly. "Hey, Shrimp!" A giant shadow covered them. "I'll show you a trick," said Binky Barnes. He grabbed Arthur's favorite pen and put it in his pocket. "Now you see it, now you don't," said Binky. "Hey, watch it," said Arthur, trying to look brave. "Why don't you make me?" said Binky, and walked away. "Pick on someone your own size," called Francine, "like Godzilla." "Wow," said Buster, "you were right. He's going to pulverize you." That night at dinner, Arthur hardly ate anything. He didn't finish his cheeseburger. He didn't even want any chocolate cream pie. "What's the matter with Arthur?" asked his father. "He's worried about getting pulverized," said DW. "Maybe he's been watching too many outer space movies," said his mother. Later on, DW barged into Arthur's room. "Good night, Mr. Universe," she said. "Haven't you ever heard of knocking?" asked Arthur. "After you get pulverized, can I have your room?" she said. "Beat it, DW." Do you think Arthur's going to get pulverized by Binky Barnes? I hope not. That would not be nice. When Arthur finally fell asleep, he had nightmares. The next morning, Francine offered Arthur a cookie. "Yuck," said Arthur. "This tastes like soap and toothpaste." "April Fool," laughed Francine. But Arthur was too worried to laugh. "I'll never remember my magic tricks for the assembly," he said. "Calm down," said Buster. "I'll be your assistant. I'll help if you get stuck." Arthur felt better. He could count on Buster. But just before the assembly, Buster got caught putting sneezing powder on Mr. Ratburn's desk. Instead of going to the assembly, Buster went to the principal's office. "I'll blow it for sure without Buster," thought Arthur. He walked into the auditorium. Who was sitting in the front row? Binky Barnes. This was going to be even worse than he thought. Arthur worried while Mr. Ratburn read people's minds. He worried while Francine and Muffy did shadow tricks. And he worried while the chorus sang that old black magic. Finally, it was his turn. "For my first trick," said Arthur, "I'll need a volunteer." Binky Barnes jumped on the stage. "Surprise, Pipsqueak," he whispered. Arthur gulped. Wonder what's going to happen. Wonder what his trick's going to be. Arthur asked Binky Barnes to tear up a sheet of paper and put it in the magic hat. He said the magic words and waved his magic wand to make the paper whole again. But rabbits came out instead. Everyone laughed. Arthur took a bow. By mistake, flowers fell out of his sleeve. Binky Barnes laughed harder than anyone. Then Arthur had an idea. He winked at Francine. For my next trick, I will saw this young man in half. Binky stopped laughing and took a step back. My saw, please, said Arthur. Binky turned pale. Do you think he would really do it? Do you think he'd really saw Binky in half for a magic trick? Or do you think he's just joking to try and make him nervous? And now the bucket to collect the blood. Binky screamed, "Ah!" He stepped back again, this time right off the stage. Everyone laughed, even Mr. Ratburn. After the assembly, Arthur stopped Binky in the hall. What's the matter, Binky? You left before I could show you my best trick. No thanks, said Binky Barnes. Are you sure? It lets you see things you've never seen before, said Arthur. Really? Said Binky. He grabbed the telescope and pointed it at Francine. I don't see anything. Of course not, said Arthur. You have to know the secret words. Tell me, said Binky. I can't, Arthur explained. They're so secret, I have to write them down backwards. Do you have a pen? Sure. Here, said Binky. Arthur wrote the words. Now go home, hold the paper up to the mirror, and you'll be able to read the secret words. Thanks, Twerp, said Binky as he ran out the door. Do you think that's the pen that he stole from Arthur at the beginning of the story? Have to look back and see. Was it pink with a smiley face? It is the same pen. Sometimes good readers have to go back and reread or recheck something that they've read in the past. Boy, that's your best trick yet, said Buster. You didn't get pulverized and you made Binky Barnes disappear. What did you write? Asked Francine. April Fool! Look, the telescope gave him a black eye around his eyeballs. Had ink on it. So, what did you guys think about that story? On April Fool's Day, sometimes people play jokes on each other, but sometimes they can be mean and not so nice. So make sure that if you are going to play any April Fool's jokes, that they're kind and they're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. Speaking of which, I told you that I was Miss Slater's sister, Amber. Well, April Fools! It's just me, Miss Slater. I just straightened my hair. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I miss you. Bye!